Okay, let's start this video with a little bit of cleanup here. Okay, so we noticed that when we shoot our projectile, something weird's happening. And if you take a look, the projectile's shooting fine here, but look what happens when we go up here. It seems to be hitting something. And what's really cool is if you come over here in the scene view, you can toggle between 2D and 3D while you're testing it. And you could see that if I hold Alt down and drag around, you could see that the spaceship's actually inside the background plane. And to fix that, let me get out of play mode, and then I'm going to change the background using either this tool or I could just set the Z coordinate. I'm going to push it back by 10. Okay, and now the background is not going to interfere with my projectiles, and it can just shoot without when it was hitting the projectile. And it's kind of weird that it was hitting it up higher but not down here. I'd have to investigate to see why that is. Okay, so there we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make our enemy move across the screen and then be able to hit the spaceship, okay, and then do damage. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is select this enemy, and we're going to add a component. And we're going to say new script, and we're going to call this enemy script. Okay, enemy script. Create and add. And then I will open this up, and we're going to borrow some code from, I just double clicked right here, by the way, to open this up. So if you double click, once the file is generated, it'll open up. And I'm going to borrow from my projectile script a few things. I'm going to highlight this and copy, and I'm going to paste that up here. And we aren't using this yet. We're going to need these things, though. Okay, we're going to need this one right away. And so let's see what else we have in here. Let's get the collision. Okay, so let's get this collision here. We're going to copy that. And we are going to come back in here and put a couple of lines in here, and we're going to paste this. Now, we need to change this. If we're going to collide with the player, not the enemy, because we are the enemy. If we collide with something tagged player, then we're going to, right now we're going to destroy the player. We're going to destroy this collision game object. Okay, and then we're going to actually add that splash here. And then I'm going to teach you something new here. We're going to comment out this line of code because we don't want to get score when we crash into an enemy. But later on, we'll change that add score to like maybe minus, subtract health, something like that. So whenever you have to save, then let's see what changes we need. Now we need to remember that we need to put a splash object in there, and we need to change our tag on the spaceship to player. So the first thing on the enemy, we have this splash that we need to get from our prefabs. So let me go back up here, and we'll just put the projectile splash. Later on, we'll create a prefab with like an explosion or something. So for now, let's just use the projectile splash. And then on the spaceship, we need to change this to player. Now, a couple other things. On the spaceship, we need to add a rigid body. Rigid body is what an uncheck gravity, please. Rigid body gives it its rigid body. So it's able to interact with objects in the scene. So on the enemy, let's add one here as well and take its gravity off. And so now I think we have everything set. Let's take a look. Let's see our console for errors if we get any new errors when we push play. Let's see if we did something wrong. Okay, so I'm going to fly around and crash into that enemy. Boom. Okay, we destroyed the spaceship. Okay, great. So why don't you go ahead and do that, and then in the next tutorial we'll reverse that. We will actually destroy the enemy itself instead of the spaceship, and we'll get our health to go from like 100 to 90 or something like that, and we'll make the enemy move across the screen, and then we'll spawn more enemies. Okay, have fun getting that bit of code in there. Have fun.